Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's event entitled Protect 100,000 Endpoints, Big Fix Systems Management, IBM Endpoint Manager. To learn more about the ways you can participate in today's event, please click on the Messages button in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. If you're having any difficulties with viewing the stream, please refresh your screen by pressing Control F5 on your keyboard. I'd now like to turn today's event over to your presenter, Bob Schmidt. Bob, you now have the floor.
All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to cover IBM Endpoint Manager, which was previously called Big Fix. We also have a product called MaaS360, which is full unified management of your mobile devices. We won't get into that too much today, but we'll probably have a future webinar on that as well. So, but basically, we'll cover the integration of Big Fix or IBM Endpoint Manager throughout your environment. So I've got a few slides here. I'm going to only show a few so we can really dive into the live presentation and show you the actual product. So let me kick it off. So looking at the environment, we all know that there's lots of threats out there. We're seeing that with the Home Depots and the Targets, and banks, and those kind of things. So this kind of gives you a quick slide. These slides will be available later, so you guys can reference it. But we've got so many monitored security incidents today. The amount of digital data is expanding like crazy, and we also have all of the BYOD devices, which are important throughout your environment, that are a big security threat as well. So moving forward here. So the key is as the complexity increases, we want to be really fast in dealing with malware attacks. We want to make sure that we manage all of your different platforms because we have such a wide variety of them. And then our compliance and requirements continuously go up. So when you're looking at HIPAA, you're looking at SOX, you're looking at different types of government requirements, those are going to continually get more and more stringent over time. So I'm going to skip through a lot of the logo organizational size pieces. IBM Endpoint Manager doesn't fit in one particular vertical. We're pretty much all over the place. So I'm going to skip through this. We basically eat our own dog food as well, in that we're using this product. We were bought about almost 6 years ago. Big Fix is the previous name of the company, and we were acquired. And we use our own tools inside, in-house, to be able to patch and do security management, quarantine machines, those kind of things throughout our own network. We have about 1.6 million devices we're managing across the globe so far. So what I'm going to start with is this kind of overview slide that gives you the full unified management of your organization. So if you look in the very middle here, we're showing the cloud-based approach here. So above we have MaaS360, which is renamed to Mobile First Protect, which is our mobile device platform from a company that we bought from called FiberLink. MaaS360 is in the top right corner in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, as well as a leader in Forrester and a lot of the other research firms. We're tying this into our whole architecture, our unified platform, so we can manage all the mobile devices as well as all of your other type devices throughout your organization. So we're looking at, PCs, just about any flavor of Windows that's out there, Macintosh, Linux, Unix, and you see POS and point-of-sale systems, ATMs. There's a lot of Windows XP embedded that's actually running on those point-of-sale systems as well as ATMs. So our technology also handles that as well, on and off the network, and we'll talk more about that when we get into the architecture of how our solution works. So when we look at our cloud-based solution with our mobility, we're tying that into our on-prem IBM Endpoint Manager, which handles lots of different modules. And we're going to talk about mostly patch management and lifecycle today, but I want to basically go over the capabilities so you are aware of how this technology works. So when you're looking at the bottom as far as solution sets, patch management is pretty much our #1 seller. Everybody needs to patch to make sure they can close those vulnerabilities within your environment. So all those different platforms. Lifecycle management basically handles our asset discovery on your network, so we can go look out on your network and find out what devices might be out there. We use a tool called Nmap that's built into our platform, so we can scan different subnets and pick up what might be there. Kicking back in here, we've got a unified platform for all your devices. So we handle all your smartphones, tablets, those kinds of things, ties into our platform. We handle all of the platform types, so PCs, Macs, Linux, Unix, point of sales, ATMs that are running Windows XP embedded, those kind of things. And we also manage the patch side of things. So we started out in patch years ago, and we handle all the different platforms at once, as well as all the third-party patches. So we've got a large group of top ones. So a lot of the vulnerabilities these days are come with Adobe not being patched completely or holes there. We've got all the Java type things that are out there. So those are big things that we need to make sure that are patched at all times. When we look at the overall solution set, we kind of covered the lifecycle side of things. Basically, our lifecycle module is kind of our most encompassing suite. It has asset discovery, which allows us to scan your network, detect what devices are out there, whether they're a router or a switch, wireless access point, those kinds of things. Anybody's got a phone that's unmuted, mute, that'd be great. We also have remote control, operating system distribution, and we have our hardware and software analysis, so we can actually do inventory on the machines, and we'll dive into the live platform to show that. Power management is our power management piece that allows us to basically look at the status of the machines and put it into sleep or shut it down and wake it back up during patch cycles, that kind of thing. Core protection is our module that we have teamed with Trend Micro. So we basically are integrating OptiScan into our suite so we can push that out, management throughout your organization, which is key because we have a very strong infrastructure, so we can push that out and manage it a lot better than what Trend can. So we unify that in the platform. Our security compliance module handles the DISA stakes, the federal desktop core configuration checklist, all of those kinds of things. So that's key for government compliance. We also allow us to lock things down, not only see what the configuration is, but we can lock it down. Our software usage analysis piece allows us to do inventory of machines. So we can look at the machines and look at the what software is installed, what the usage information is. All of that is really key so that we can detect that. We can compare that to a report of what you've actually licensed. So if you have volume licensing and those kinds of things, that's key. So you can compare what's on the machine versus what your license compliance is, and we show a delta on what that is, whether it's above or under, which is good. So we can see if there's unused software, so you can cut back on your licensing and those kinds of things. Our server automation module allows us to automate tasks and sequence events. This is really big when we're looking at data center type stuff, so our physical or virtual machines that are out there. We can do patching of clusters, so we can basically put one, take one offline, patch it, bring it back up, promote another one. We also use server automation for going out and doing installing software. So if you need to install WebSphere on something, a database on another thing, have them then talk to each other, that's all sequencing that we can do within our platform as well, which makes it very powerful. And the far right one is our data center module, and that's really just a combination of our server automation, security compliance, and our lifecycle management module. So it kind of combines all those pieces for you to fully manage a data center. So let me move on from here and go into, I'm going to expand all these bubbles here. This is another view of the solution set, but basically what we're getting at here is we are one unified platform that it's one common agent, and we'll get into that in the architecture, that manages all of your endpoints. So the key thing to know here is the one server that we have, the single server architecture, pushes the intelligence out to the agents. The agents are the smart thing here. That allows us to expand. Now, I think the title of the show is managed 100,000 endpoints. We can actually manage 250,000 per server. And I'll get into that when we get into the architecture here in a second. So moving on to the architecture here, I'm going to pass by bullets. This is mostly marketing stuff. Okay, so this is really a key slide. This is how we work, and this is how our product actually differentiates itself from other solutions in the industry. So when you're looking at the customer headquarters in the middle here, our technology runs on either a Windows server platform with a SQL backend, or we actually also have a Red Hat version, enterprise version. It has a DB2 backend. So this is really just a collection point for the content that we're collecting from the machines that are out there. All the intelligence is really pushed out through an intelligent agent. So what we do is we use a software deployment or a client deployment tool that pushes out the agent to the machines that are out in your environment. So we can target an OU or a range of IP addresses, that kind of thing, and push that agent out. It takes a couple minutes for it to check in, so it's pretty quick to install and doesn't require a reboot. That agent goes out and sits on that machine and checks into the server here in the middle if it's close to the server, so closest based on hop count, or we can promote any of the agents on most machine types to be a relay or really just a caching point. That allows us to get content close to where those users are. So when we're looking at this diagram with all these slow links and things like that, which is pretty representative of a lot of your environments, very highly distributed, which we function very well in. Or we could take a file server, print server. It doesn't have to be anything that has any horsepower, just a little space that we can use as caching point for the machines that are near it. So once we have that agent deployed, they'll check into the relay closest to them. The relay will then make a connection to this main server. That alleviates a lot of contention or a lot of points of connection to this main server, which allows us to grow and expand very easily. We also have fault tolerance built in to this architecture in that if a relay is turned off, those agents will look for the next relay based on hop count. Or we can have a manual way to do that, so it will look for the next server and the next server, or at home itself in the middle. The other key point about how the agent works is we only use one network port, 52.3.11, it's default, and it allows us to not have to have lots of Swiss cheese to your firewalls and routers and switches and that kind of thing, only one port to deal with. So looking back at this architecture, when we push out a patch or a group of patches, we're pushing it out to the relay and then out to these endpoints at any time frame that you'd like, and we'll show you this in the console. The other key thing to know about the agent that sits on that endpoint is it's CPU throttled, so it's not going to go above 2%, and it's a policy-based agent, which is really key. So it enforces the policy at all times, on the network or off the network. So if someone turns their firewall off, we're going to turn it right back on again because we've set a policy for that. And so that could be a variety of things. That could be a missing patch that we want to have all on there. So if you have a corporate baseline of certain patches that you want to make sure you have on your machines or certain policies you want to enforce, we can make sure that they're always enforced, because once we enable that policy, that agent's going to hold on to it, which is key. So when we're looking at the main piece here in the server in the middle, it's going to collect all the information, stores in a database so we can report on it and see your whole environment in one glance, so we get a global view of everything no matter where that endpoint is. And it allows for operators, an operator console, to connect to it so you can do all the management, create reports, and distribute software or patches and those kinds of things. We'll dive into that in a second. When you look at the bottom right here, we're showing a DMZ, and that's a relay and a DMZ. So we can actually take a relay and put it in your DMZ, which allows us to manage devices no matter where they are. You know, most firms have somebody that's going to travel and work from home, or they're on the road, or whatever. That agent's smart enough to go back instead of trying to connect to a relay where their main office is. They're smart enough to know they're outside of your corporate network now. They're going to look for the outside DMZ relay and connect to the main server to make sure that those machines are compliant and updated all the time. So if we change a policy or configuration setting, it's going to still enforce that setting no matter where that endpoint is traveling around in. The key here is when that endpoint comes back into your environment, plugs into your Wi-Fi, plugs into your LAN, you don't have to worry about a big security breach because we're always managing the devices no matter where they are, which is very key. And we still only have that one network port to have to deal with, so which is very nice. Now, up to the top right, we have, it says Big Fix Content Delivery. It's really IBM Content Delivery now. We basically take content, which would be for Microsoft and Red Hat and Adobe and Oracle, Java, and all that content, and we basically can subscribe it to the server here. So when anything new comes out, we're talking Microsoft, Patch Tuesday comes around, we want to make sure that we have all that new content on this server in the middle, so we can evaluate our entire environment to find out whether we have any new security vulnerabilities, so we can act on that right away, which is very, very key. So that's kind of an overview of our environment. What I'd like to do now is I'm going to move forward a couple slides, and then I'm going to dive into our live platform so you can really see what's going on. The last slide I'll show you here is really, really key. We have the highest first patch success rate in the industry because we basically evaluate and we'll dive into this when we get into the live demo. But we evaluate before and after state so we can make sure and ensure that these patches are put on or vulnerabilities are closed, and we have real-time reporting. The other big key thing is that agent's live. It sits there live at all times, so we have a very first pulse on things. The other key thing to know is we're not a scan-based technology like other things where they scan the network and they go all around the network, or they can't scan the network because the device is working from home or turned off. And since we have that live agent, we don't have to worry about that vulnerability of not being able to scan the endpoint, and then by the time they scan, they come back and it's time to patch, they're vulnerable again. So key thing to know. So let me stop presenting PowerPoint, and I'm going to share my desktop and dive into a virtual machine here. So I am sharing my desktop now, and let me pull up my virtual machine. I'm going to log in. I'll make this bigger. All right. So let me make this full screen. You guys might be seeing it full screen. All right. So this is a view of our console. And when you were looking at the console, we show the computer name, and these are all machines that have agents deployed to them. You can see the OS, so we can see lots of different types of OSs that we support that are in here. CPU information. The key thing to see here is last report time. So I'm in Denver, so a last report time is within the last minute. So we're evaluating at all times to show you that agent's real time. We can look at what relay it might be connected to. We can see how much RAM's in the machine. These are all just properties that we can gather off those machines, and there's a lot more properties. But BIOS levels, free space in the drive, total space in the drive, IP information, who's actually logged in the machine right now at this given time. Those kinds of things are all customizable. I can right-click on this bar at the top. I can add another property if I want. I can actually go into manage properties and create my own property if I wanted. So if Dell had a battery recall and it was only a certain serial number range because batteries were burning up or something, I could immediately go and create a property and collect the information throughout my whole environment for just that serial number range. And that goes for other things too. So if you wanted to look for recalls or whatever, we can look at that and have a property that goes and looks for and then displays information back in our panel. This also goes for registry type things, zero-day vulnerabilities. We can go detect those right away and then close them off, which is really key. So we respond very well. So when we're diving in here, I'm going to go down to our Lifecycle module here in the bottom left. These are domains that we add when we add content. So when we have we've deployed an agent out to a machine and you want just patch management, you can just get patch management, and then over time, you want to add security configuration management, or you want to add server automation or any other technology. We do that all in the back end. There's no more touching the machine because we have that one agent there. But when I look at the lifecycle side of things, I'm going to go to Windows inventory here. I'm going to expand this and look at analysis. This is key how we work. So when we look at the analysis here, I can look at Windows 7 eligibility. This could be Windows 10 eligibility or 2012, whatever. Hardware, software. I can look at the application information on the machines. What applications are installed? What services are here? So if I look at the results, I'll pick on this machine Maui that I'm actually running on here, and I'm going to view a summary. It shows me the top 10 applications that are running on this machine based on usage, but I'm going to just view them all. So I can see all of my machines that or my software that's installed on this machine here, as well as revisions and things like that. And I can also go down and show you services. So let's look at all services that are on this machine and the service status. So when I scroll this down a little bit, there you go. So you could see the exact service status, where it's stopped, it's running, those kind of things. So the key thing to know about how BigFix or IBM Endpoint Manager works with the agent is when we see something that's stopped, we can actually monitor that and say, hey, let us know if that stops. So it creates a report and notifies the administrators. Or we could create a task that starts that back up again. So maybe it shouldn't be stopped, that kind of thing. So the key thing to know about the technology and how we work in that agent is when we push out the agent, anything that you can do sitting at that machine with your mouse or your keyboard or a command line, we can all do through our platform to thousands of machines all at one time, which is very important when you're pushing out patches or you're going to identify a zero-day issue, those kinds of things. So let me close this up here, and I'm going to dive back into our patch module to kind of show you how we work with patches and how we're different. So what we're showing right now, when I click on the patch management domain, it's showing me all the patches that came out in the last 30 days. So you can see today is the 26th of March. I've got a bunch of patches that came out just today. And then down, looks like there's a whole bunch that came out today. And these are, it looks like vulnerabilities for Windows 2000. They're all Windows type patches. But if I want to come over to OS vendors up my top left and look at Windows patches, I'm showing 12,500 patches. And if I click on it, it's going to show me all the Windows patches that are available that came out. And here's the description of the patches. And you can see there's Adobe patches in there because they're Windows. And then you can see source severity is critical. And then over to the top right here, I have applicable computer count. So what I've done here is I've sorted by criticality and applicable computer count so I could see my top offenders. Where's my top vulnerabilities? So if I look at any of these, here's an editing component, ActiveX control, that looks like it affects Windows XP. So if I move this control up here, this is basically just the patch that came from Microsoft. and we have the MSID right here. It's a vulnerability. We take the description of the Microsoft and the patch with a file size, all that information, and we have a link back to their security bulletin as well. All these we're putting into what we call this document we refer to as a fixlet, but it allows us to give us some intelligence over that patch so that we can go assess within our environment who needs that patch. So we're looking at this one particular patch. If I click on applicable computers, 7 computers need this patch. They basically raise their hand and say, hey, I'm applicable to this. I need this patch. If I've ever performed anything on using this patch, it shows me some history and that kind of thing, so I can kind of zero in on that. But I'm going to focus on these applicable machines right here. So all I have to do is, when I want to go deploy this, I can click this deployment button here, which allows me to deploy to these machines in my environment the only ones that need it, which is key. I can also come into this window here and look, find out where these machines are. So you can see these are in domains, and those are my machines. There's one in America, there's one in ACPAC, there's one in France, and there's 2 in Kuwait. So it allows me to see exactly where they are as well. So I can target by the applicability of the patch. I could target by groups. You could set up manual groups or automatic groups, which makes this very powerful as well. We can also go into the execution tab and say, okay, when do we want to push this patch out? Maybe you do your patches just on Fridays at, tomorrow's Friday, that's a good thing, between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. we'll say. And then what happens if it fails? Do we keep retrying? Do we wait till the machine's rebooted? Do we reboot the machine? These are really key in how we work. So we can also make this a policy. So you can see reapply action again whenever this is relevant again. So if that patch is a hole again or another patch corrupts it, we could reapply that, making it a policy. So if I come up here and say, this is a policy, we want to always make sure that this patch is on there. Whenever it becomes irrelevant again, let's reapply it, and that's very key. Now you can use this relevant again for just about anything. So maybe it's employees have a certain software type you don't want them to have. We can, if it becomes relevant, we can uninstall it. So there's a lot of things you can do with policies. We can go ahead and send a message out and ask the user to save their work, set a patch deadline so that they have to patch within a day, that kind of thing, or reboot their machine within a day, or put a little message on the screen that says you need to accept this because we're going to install some patches. So that's really key. So you have something really critical you want to push out there. Offers allow you to push out software, patches, whatever, and allow the end user to accept the offer. If the servers, you don't have to, you're not going to deal with that too much. Post action, by default, we're not going to do anything. But on a lot of cases, you're going to push a bunch of patches out, and you're going to restart that machine. Well, when are you going to restart the machine? Is it one day? Do you involve the user? Or do you start it automatically like a group of servers? So pretty versatile there. And then applicability, we're going to get to this in a second. But the key thing is we want to make sure that things evaluate to false afterwards. So if we click on applicability, this is basically we're talking to the agent. We're saying, hey, are all of these things present? Do you need this? So we assess that they need it and they're applicable. Then we come back and we say, did we really do our job? Is it false now? So after we apply the patch, is it really false? Then we're successful. If it's still true, we failed, and we record all that. And I'll show you that in a couple minutes. So if we pop back out of here, I'll go ahead and open up this and look at details. This is how we work. We have a relevance language that goes and talks to the agent because it's intelligent. Hey, are you operating a Windows operating system? Do you have a certain registry setting? All those happen in a split second. And then if they do require that, then they raise their hand. They say, yep, I'm thirsty, that kind of thing. So they'll raise their hand. Then we provide an action statement to go get that patch from Microsoft or Oracle or whoever it may be, cache it on the server in the middle when we looked at architecture, and then push it out to the relay that's closest to where that endpoint needs it so we can deploy it at any given time. So that kind of give you an idea how we work. So I've got different platforms installed in my environment. I've got Red Hat, I've got Solaris and SUSE and AIX and Mac OS. The key thing also to know here, we look at Windows, we see 12,500 patches. If I click this little box that says show non-relevant content, I'm showing content, all my content that I'm getting from Microsoft, but maybe I want to just show only relevant content. So now see that number dropped to 995 patches? That's key. So we assess and we only have to deal with what's relevant in our environment, not all those patches that are maybe needed. On the Macs, I don't even need any here. There's 0 I need because I'm all fully patched. But I do need to deal with all these relevant patches in the Windows world. So another couple key things, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. If I launch our web reports, since we have a backend SQL database or DB2, I can actually come in here and query the database for any information. If I could type my password today. Okay. Nope, I don't want to save that. We come with a whole bunch of different types of reports that you can go monitor and assess your entire environment. Since everything that those agents collect, those real-time agents, you're going to store it up on in the database for you. So if I look at Fixlet compliance by content, so this would be, say, I want to look at all of my critical Microsoft patches, and maybe I want to look at a certain computer group. In this case, I'll computers, but you could just pick a group that you've defined, and I'll go ahead and say generate a report. So it's querying the database now, and it's collecting all the information that we have stored in that backend database. And in a second, we'll kind of look at my environment and what I look like, which is probably not so good because this is kind of a demo environment for me. But we see similar things that when we install this in cluster environments. So you can see I'm only 16.73 compliant, and my critical patches are right here is my most outstanding. I got 33 patches of this active Microsoft Active X Control. So I could go in there and click on that, drill down, which machines do I have that on, and then go ahead and push that out and bring them up to compliance. I can also take these reports and print them, put them into Excel, or have them automatically generated at any given time and sent out to administrators or whatever throughout your network so you can, at a real time, take a look at those reports. We've got a ton of other before and after patch reports, you name it, that's all built into the platform. So since we're running a little late here because of the technical difficulties, let me open it up for questions because I'm sure you guys have lots of questions and that I can answer for you. Any questions?
And Bob, just a minute, and attendees as well. I had muted the lines to cut down on any potential background noise. So I am unmuting the lines now. So if you do
Perfect.
have a question, please feel free to ask it at this time.
All right. And I'm also showing here application vendor patches that we do, and then patch families. So if you have links, or you have Exchange, or you have SQL Server, some of those kind of things, we break them out and we manage those as well. So not only Windows, of course. Remember, we do all the other platforms. Any questions? Okay. Let me do this right now. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little smaller for kind of future directions here. We also have, I'm going to go to click over here, we're moving our platform, what you just looked at, which was our Big Fix or IBM Endpoint Manager console. We're moving this to a web-based console as well. So we can go look immediately in a web view of what's going on. So if I want to look at patches within my environment, and I want to look at just the critical ones, I could click on critical, and it's going to show me all those critical patches that are in my environment. and then I can go ahead and push these patches out here. You can see there's 3 machines that need this .NET framework. We could do all this vulnerable now 3, 35%, 33% reported within the hour that need that, and I can go ahead and push that out. I can immediately see which devices that are vulnerable as well, and go ahead and push that out. So we're moving to patch management in a web-based console as well as software distribution. So we can go ahead and push applications out and all that. So we can support in the cloud as well as an on-prem approach. So let me go ahead and go back and see if you guys have any questions before we close things out.
Just a quick question is, when is this web interface expected?
Pretty soon. We're going in phases. So right now, the web interface is beta, and we launched beta right before Interconnect, which was about a month ago. So I think it's June timeframe. We're going to roll out the first iteration, which will be patch and then software distribution, which handles all the different platform types. And then as we move forward, we're going to slowly add more and more capabilities to it. So where we're really going is, when you look at this, we're taking the MaaS360, or now Mobile First Protect, we're blending these together so you'll be able to manage all your devices from web console. And it gives us a lot more scalability on operators and things like that as well, and nothing to have to install on your machine for the operators. Any other questions I can answer for anybody?
The only other question I have is about the optional application installations. But I've actually run out of time. I'm late. I got to split to another meeting right now. But is there a spot where we can look up, or is there contact information on the bottom of this?
You can. Let me pull the PowerPoint back up here that has my email on it. Let's see. Let me go back into links here and display PowerPoint. And the first slide here, these slides will be available too, and my email's at the first slide. So there you go. So you should see, if your screen's refreshing there, there's my contact info. So feel free to shoot me an email.
And yeah, this PowerPoint is available as a PDF in the downloads of your console. There's a download button on the bottom left, which you can use to download a copy.
All right. Well, thank you.
Hopefully.
I'm going to go. Have a
You're
good
welcome.
Day.
You too. Thank you. And for those of you that are still on the call, we also have a POT scheduled, Proven Technology, in Boston at Cambridge, our IBM office, on the 5th and the 6th. This will actually allow you to do hands-on. So it's 2 full days of hands-on through all our modules. And we're going to do an introduction of our Trusteer integration into our console as well, which is really key. So we look at the behavior of applications so we can block them, which is very key. No one else in the industry is doing that. So that's it for today, and thank you for your time, everyone.